So I'm still a novice, still getting used to it. And there will not be a guest today, so we'll be taking calls. But before we do, there's a couple announcements I'd like to make. One is that there is a vaccination clinic for healthy pets of Montgomery County residents today at the Creative Connections Art Center, 303 East Main Street. That's that's over with. They asked me to read that, but that ended already. That just ended at 11 o'clock, so there's no point in reading that again. However, next Saturday, March 28th, there will be an Easter Bazaar at the Ukrainian Catholic Church, St. Nicholas Ukrainian Catholic Church, 24 Pulaski Street in Amsterdam. That will run from 11 to 4 p.m. They're going to have, and I probably will mispronounce all these words, but they're going to have Vareniki, Pierogi, Holubsti, Gulumki, Kabasa, Borscht, Babka, Paska, homemade pastries, and beautiful Ukrainian folk art. And there will be a Pasenki demonstration at 1 p.m. That's next Saturday, March 28th, 11 to 4 p.m., the Saturday before Palm Sunday. Today is the first day of spring, and I actually saw the sun shining a little bit this morning. But it's also been Sunshine Week, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Sunshine Week is a week that every year, every spring, in which the emphasis is put on transparency in government. And if you have read various newspapers this week, there's been a number of editorials and opinion pieces on transparency in government. So we're going to spend some time on that. And as I said, we don't have a guest. We will be taking calls, but wait a few minutes before you call, because there's a few things more that I want to say. The only thing I ask when you call is keep it clean and keep it civil. Our number is 843-2500 if you want to write that down now. If you don't know it, some of you know it by heart because you call in regularly. 843-2500. I also want to remind you that we have a Facebook page for the Valley Vox. And it's easy to find. You can go to Facebook if you're on Facebook and search for Valley Vox, and it'll show up. And if you missed our previous shows, you'll be able to find links there to them and be able to listen to them. Well, in fact, last week we had a show about the Irish in the area, in Amsterdam and the surrounding area. The week before that, we had a couple guests from Fort Plain talking about the Mohawk Valley during the American Revolution. That was a great show. We had Carl Strock on talking about American Sniper, David Weaver on talking about his movie, The Last Frankenstein, and we had former Mayor John Duchesne on talking about his career as mayor, about economic development, and so on. And you may want to talk about some of those shows because you didn't have a chance to respond. We didn't take calls in. So that may be something you might want to talk about today. As far as our contest is concerned, we still don't have a winner. Hopefully we will today because I'm going to give the answer away at the end of the day if we don't have it. And the contest was I mentioned an actor who found his wife in Amsterdam, met his wife in Amsterdam. He's not from Amsterdam. He did not live in Amsterdam, but he ran the theater program in Union College for 5 summers back in the 1940s, I believe it was. He won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in 1943. That was a clue that should have given it away because, you know, really with the internet, you can easily find out who won the Best Supporting Actor role in 1943. He was celebrated by the city of Amsterdam at the Antlers Club in around 1950, I believe it was. And we've had all kinds of guesses given, but none of them have been right. People mentioned Kirk Douglas, Harold Gould, Malcolm Atterbury, Ed Sullivan, all of which had a relationship to Amsterdam or the area at one time, but they are not the right answer. Next week, Gary Wager, my good friend Gary, will be coming on. Gary is the most knowledgeable person I've ever met in my life on contemporary music. And by contemporary, I'm talking about music going back to Frank Sinatra, the last 75 years. He's incredibly knowledgeable. We're going to talk about that, about music. I'm hoping to get him to talk about Sawyer Fredericks and his take on Sawyer Fredericks' music and career. And he also is interested very much and spent much of his life buying and selling antiques and collectibles. So we will talk about that as well. 2 separate subjects, but very interesting subjects, and he is very knowledgeable in both. And he is a musician, a very good musician in his own right. If you haven't read the Recorder today, I hope you'll pick it up and read my column, Weaver's World, which was a response to Town of Amsterdam Supervisor Tom DeMezzo's letter on March 9th. I'm not going to read it here. It's not going to be a subject of discussion today, really, but I hope you will read that. It might be worth your reading. One subject I wanted to start with. I haven't put my theme song on yet. It's the theme song I have chosen to use, but I haven't used it yet. Is called, it's The Who, Won't Get Fooled Again. But the problem is, we do get fooled again, over and over and over. One of the ways we get fooled is putting people back into office over and over and over, even after they have failed us as citizens. Well, if you read in one local paper today, you find out that a former disgraced Fulton County economic development official, who was fired after being accused of taking $1.5 million in bonuses without permission, he is now going to be on the Montgomery County's economic development team, and that is Jeff Bray. Now, the county executive, Matt Ostenfort, says that that's fine. He's okay with him because they're not hiring Jeff Bray directly. They're hiring him indirectly. He's part of a company. But as I heard on another talk show on another station this morning, some people are not happy. The comments reacting to this article, people are not happy about this. And one lady said he ought to be in jail. She was very upset about the fact that Montgomery County was going to use somebody that had, in her opinion, basically screwed Fulton County. So that may be something you want to talk about. You may feel it's okay for Jeff Bray to be part of a Montgomery County economic development team, even if he's only working as part of another company. He is the vice president of this company that's out of Troy. It's called the United Group of Companies, and he's the executive vice president of development. So he's not like a low-level employee. Those of you who listen in for Fulton County can remember well this whole situation where these two executives of a economic development group in Fulton County each got themselves over $1 million in bonuses, gave themselves over $1 million in bonuses. It was investigated, looked into, but nothing ever happened. No charges were brought. I guess basically it was legal. So, but it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and people who feel that maybe it's legal feel that it's unethical. And that's part of what we're talking about when we talk about open government, is ethics. Now, I want to talk about one other subject before we go on to the Sunshine Week and start talking about missing emails on the national level, missing emails on the state level, missing emails in the town of Palatine. Before we talk about that, I would like to talk a little bit about this farmer in Glenville. Maybe you read about it, who had some of his animals taken away because supposedly he didn't provide enough sustenance for them. When they came on his property, they found the water frozen and no food there, and feces in the water and so on. Well, I can tell you from my experience, having owned 2 horses and some goats, that every day, more than once a day, you have to break the ice so the animals can have water. They eat up their food and you have to bring them food again. And frankly, animals are pretty stupid. They end up pooping in their own water. So I'm not really sure that this farmer really was abusive or negligent of his animals, or that the officials who took some of his animals away were just going overboard. Another thing they complained about, the officials, is that these animals were in an unheated barn. And when I had horses and goats, they spent all winter in unheated barns, and most farmers' animals are in unheated barns. So, Town of Palatine supervisor Sarah Nicoli, she is also a farmer, and she went down to Glenville to show support for this farmer whose name is Joshua Rockwood. And she did that to show, because she's concerned about this whole issue, especially the issue of heat in barns for animals. I mean, agriculture is a huge part of Montgomery County's economics. And if we start requiring all farmers to have heat in their barns, well, it's going to put agriculture right out of business because it would be impossible to heat those barns. And I never found that the horses we had or the goats ever suffered from being in unheated barns. Now, I guess there were some pigs they said had frostbite on their ears. I never had pigs, so the situation might be different with pigs. Maybe they do have to have some heat. I really don't know. But it's normal around here to have to break the water, the ice on the water a couple times a day. It's normal to have to bring feed down a couple times a day. And it's normal to have animals who are stupid enough to mess in their water. So you could go on someone's farm, find no food, find the water frozen over, find feces in the water, and say this farmer's abusive or negligent when he's not. That's just par for the course. So that might be something some of you might want to talk about. And I'll start taking calls anytime now, 843-2500. This is Dan Weaver on Valley Vox. We're broadcasting today on both WCSS 1490 AM and WKAJ 1120 AM out of St. Johnsville. I love St. Johnsville. Go out that way a lot, especially in the summer. My wife loves to take rides. So we go out that way. We love to go. Sometimes we'll go to 3 or 4 Amish farms and buy stuff when we're out that way. Okay, I believe we have a call. Hello, you're on Valley Vox?
Yes, you don't have to heat a barn for cows and animals. Their body heat will give them enough heat in the barn. Most of the time you have to have a fan because they get overheated.
Exactly. And
okay.
So it seems to me that these do-gooders don't really know much about farms, and they're just
right.
Going overboard. Is that your feeling?
All I wanted to say.
Okay.
They generate enough body heat that normally you see big fans on the barns that keep them cooler.
Yes, exactly. Especially in the summer, they got those gigantic fans that they're huge, and then they have to blow the heat out of it.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Bye. So there's somebody who calling in and agreeing. Maybe you disagree. Some animals like dogs, cats, and others that weren't necessarily meant for this climate have to be brought inside. But the large animals, in particular, when you have 30, 40 cows in a barn, they're producing a tremendous amount of body heat. And even inside a barn, sometimes the water will freeze, but the animals themselves will be okay. So some of you who are animal rights activists, you may disagree with me on this and want to call in and say the opposite. Okay, we're going to take another call here. Good morning. You're on WCSS and WKAJ.
Okay. Good morning, Dan. I was just wondering. You mentioned the last Frankenstein or so like that. I did sign up for that movie. Evidently, that's your son that's getting involved in this.
Yes.
Are they done with the, with the sign-ups? I know he went to different places, around the areas or so. Are they still signing up people? Did he get enough people to sign up for the movie, or what's the update on
Yeah, he's got quite a few, but I think they're still processing the applications. They did hire one Hollywood guy who's going to come out here. He's not an A-level actor, but he's a good actor, and they're going to he's going to come out. They're going to film his things for just a couple days, and he's actually they have to pay him and all that. But I think they're still processing applications, and they may still be looking for a few specific parts and things like that. So that's all I can tell you right now, because I haven't talked to my son about it for a few days. They're going to start a fundraising program soon on the internet, and hopefully raise enough money to do this movie.
Well, hopefully this is a success, because this is important to the area.
Yes.
And,
yes, it is.
So that this is a good positive type of a thing. And even though I enjoy politics and sports, I enjoy movies, and this will be a real good thing for the for the community, that if that it works. So I'm just hoping that like I say, a good amount of people signed up and are interested in it, because I only got the information basically from this radio station.
Right.
A lot of people don't get the newspaper on a regular basis, so I was very happy that I got the information from here. Now, one other thing, years back, I bought a book from you. You ordered, called Beetle, the Pete Best Story.
Right.
And the reason I bring that up is recently they were bringing out some music of Pete Best, releasing it. I think it's overdue that he got his, that he was able to make a few dollars now.
Sure.
Because he seems to be getting forgotten. But there's a lot of movie books or some and movies there too about the Beatles, and it mentions him or so like that. But it's about time that that some money went his way.
Yeah. One thing they want to do with this movie about Amsterdam, though, is they want to show that Amsterdam can be a place you can make film too, and not just Schenectady, Albany, and so on. So, I'm hoping it does well. They're going to film here in the Riverfront Center. They're going to film at the TP. They're going to film, let's see, there was someplace else they got permission to. Shots Tavern is going to be in it, and some other places.
There was. He did say there was like a 2-page, sign up for it. You answer a few questions or so like that. I wasn't ready for a monologue or so, but going to the meetings or something like that, you're on camera a lot from the Common Council meetings and other things, and talking on the talk shows. I think I'll do well. If I'm allowed to be in a movie. But like I said, that's a big thing or so like that, and and they says like they may have filmings during the day, and they might have some filmings during the night and so like that. That shouldn't be a problem, because obviously that's what you gotta do there occasionally or so like that. So like it says, hopefully you'll be okay. Well, okay, Dan.
Okay, thank you, Chet. Good morning, you're on Valley Vox.
Good morning. Is the answer to your question Carl Malden?
No, it isn't.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Carl Malden is not the answer. People have guessed all kinds of things. This is a much older actor than Carl Malden. He actually came to Amsterdam in 1905, and he acted at the Opera House, and that's where he met his wife, at the Amsterdam Opera House, 1905. So, I mean, you really, I hate to just about give the thing away, but we've been doing this for several weeks now, this contest, and if you win, you'll get a copy of my book, which is called The Virgin and the Strip Mall and Other Essays on Amsterdam, the Mohawk Valley, and Upstate New York. And last week, I pretty much told you where to find the information. It's in one of Larry Hart's books, and frankly, if you Google Internet Movie Database or something, you should be able to find who this guy was. So let's move on a little bit. We have another call. Good morning, you're on Valley Vox.
Hi, Dan.
Yes.
It's J-Town.
It sounds like my friend J-Town.
How are you?
Okay, I'm surviving my first Saturday taking phone calls.
That sounds good. You're doing well, I think.
Well, thank you.
I have a guess as to, it's not really a guess, as to your question.
Okay.
Is it Van Heflin?
No, it isn't. And somebody else guessed that last week. Somebody else emailed me that, and it's not Van Heflin. Although I love Van Heflin as an actor. He's a good actor, but he's not the answer. Much older than Van Heflin.
He's not older.
Yeah.
Van Heflin was not older, that's why.
Right. Well, this guy, the guy I'm talking about is much older than Van Heflin. So.
Okay. All right, I'll keep looking.
Okay, Jay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we got another call. Good morning, you're on Valley Vox.
Hi, I'm just thinking maybe it could be Jimmy Durante.
No, but
Okay.
good try. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, you can continue to call in on that or any of the other things we brought up so far. I mean, maybe some people think that Sarah Nicoli is a carpetbagger for going down and looking into this farm in Glenville, but I don't think so. I think she went as a fellow farmer to support a farmer. Now, let's talk a little bit about Sunshine Week, because one of the things I've noticed lately is that the government wants to give us as little information as possible, and at the same time, they want to look and snoop into our stuff and find out about as much of it as they can as possible. We got another call. Good morning, you're on Valley Vox. Hello?
Hi. You're taking guesses on actors.
Yes.
I had a phone call and I missed what it was about.
Okay, it's an actor who met his wife in Amsterdam in 1905 at the Opera House, but he was not from Amsterdam, neither was she. Later, he came back to run the drama program, summer drama program at Union College. In 1950, he was celebrated by the City of Amsterdam at the Antlers Club. He won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in 1943. And you know what? I will give you that movie's name. That may help people too. The movie was The More the Merrier. The name of the movie was The More the Merrier, 1943, and he won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in that. He also was in King's Row with Ronald Reagan. He was the, what do you call it? The
Robert.
He was the guy who cut Ronald Reagan's legs off, the doctor.
Oh, that miserable guy.
Yes, yes. Sadistic
I
doctor.
don't know. I can see him, but I can't think of his name.
Right. Well, there's another actor, there's another famous actor with the same last name, much, much younger than this guy, has the same last name, not related, but his first name is James. I don't know if that'll help anybody, but King's Row, he played the sadistic doctor who cut Ronald Reagan's leg off. And
Right, because he didn't want his daughter going with Ronald
exactly.
Reagan.
And Ronald Reagan made that famous expression, "Where's the rest of me?" which many people, made a lot of jokes about when he became president. So.
Right, right.
Okay.
Ann Sheridan played opposite him.
Yes, she did. She did. And Claude Rains was in that movie, and somebody guessed that. I think Chet guessed that a couple weeks ago, but Claude Rains is not the answer either.
Uh-huh.
So.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll have to give it some thought. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We have another call. Good morning. Welcome to Valley Vox.
Yeah, is it Joe McCray?
No, but another great actor. Oh, he's a great actor. Sullivan's Travels. Did you ever see him in that?
No, I did not.
Oh, there's a movie. If you have Netflix, that's worth getting. He's in there with, can't think of her name, the kind of cute lady whose hair used to fall across one eye. I can't think of her name. Anyway, that's a great movie if you ever want to watch a good movie. Sullivan's Travels with Joel McCrea.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So, it's not Joel McCrea. Well, it seems like people are more interested in who I'm talking about in this movie than they are Sunshine Week, but, it really is important that we know what the government is doing. Now, the government has to have secrets. There's no way a government can run without secrets, and we can't, those of us who are not in office we cannot know everything the government's doing. The government cannot make treaties with us knowing every detail. We can't know every detail about the military. But the problem with people in power is they often go too far in trying to keep secrets from us. One example, which I just happened, somebody gave me a whole bunch of Amsterdam recorders, old ones and clippings and so on. And one of them was from 1993. And Teresa Kuda, I don't know if you remember her when she was deputy city editor, and she did a lot of investigative reporting. And one of the things that she uncovered was why the mall was built the way it was and putting the city in the middle of downtown and so on, and all the shenanigans that went on, all the secret meetings that were held. And that was in the day before you had these open meeting laws. It was in the day before you had FOIL requests. And Frank Gillis was the head of Urban Renewal at the time, And he held many, many secret meetings with people. He withheld information from the Common Council. This is all according to this article. And so this whole thing was pushed through when, if the information had been available to the public, it probably would have not gotten through. Now, it's a little harder for the government to do that now because we have several lines of defense against the government doing things like that, although it seems like a lot of politicians are always trying to find a way to get around those. And those lines of defense, of course, are specifically the open meeting law and the ability to FOIL and to get information from the government through FOIL requests. But we find people trying to get away with things like I believe Hillary Clinton did by having her emails on a personal server, which I just find unbelievable. And I'm not anti-Democrat or anti-Republican. I've been an independent. I voted independent since 1980, and I vote for the best candidate for the most part. So I'm not always anti-Hillary, but this whole thing with her emails, I think, is a shame and is going to hurt her. And Governor Cuomo also, with his 90-day purges of email, is something that's got to change, and hopefully will. They're talking about changing it to 7 years, keeping emails for 7 years. Let's take another call. Good morning, you're on Valley Vox.
Yeah, the answer be Donald Douglas?
No, it's not. Thank you for trying, though. And then even locally, we've had a situation where out in the town of Palatine, one of the council members deleted all her emails. And there was a man out in the town of Palatine who wanted more information on the town hall. Now, you know, there's, in the town of Palatine right now, it sounds like they're about as bad as the city of Amsterdam when it comes to infighting. And there's, all the council members want to build a new town hall. And some people in town do not want a town hall. Now, from my understanding is there was no public meeting held about this town hall, new town hall. Sarah Nicoli did hold one, but the council members were upset because they said she did that on her own dictatorially. Although I don't know how you can build a new town hall without having public hearings or public meetings about it. So one fellow out there, and I've forgotten his name, he put in a FOIL request for the emails of one of the councilwomen to try to find out what was going on. And the town clerk had turned his request down because this councilwoman had deleted all her emails. So, I mean, that's problematic. And, you know, when people in office put their email on a private server like Hillary Clinton did, or when you have a governor like Governor Cuomo who purges all emails after 90 days, or you have a town councilwoman who takes it upon herself to delete all her email, it makes it difficult for people to find out what the government is doing. And meanwhile, some of the people in government who've been so adamant about not letting us find out what's going in government, they're the worst ones about wanting to snoop into our private lives and find out what's going on. And here's an interesting thing. Those two things usually go together. When the government is attempting to find out more and more about your life, you know, whether it's the NSA going through everybody's emails, their Twitter accounts, their Facebook pages, and so on, when the government's doing that, they're almost always doing the other thing, stonewalling people who want to get information. And here's a strange thing. People think, well, we have government committees that protect us from this kind of thing. Yeah, but if you go throughout history, you'll find that the government committees are always the last one to find out. They're the last ones to get involved with, say, a scandal of some sort. Well, what about the media? The media is only a second line of defense. Very few newspapers or radio stations or what have you even do investigative journalism anymore. The first line of defense against government tyranny and the government withholding information from people is whistleblowers. It's whistleblowers. That's how we almost always find out about scandals, is whistleblowers. And now we've got to go to a little break, and when I come back, we'll continue this conversation.
I'm Tim Everhart, and here's the latest weather, brought to you by Patriot Federal Bank, located across from the Olympic Diner on Route 30 in Amsterdam, Erie Boulevard in Kanjahari, and across from the Holiday Inn on North Comrie Ave in Johnstown. Today, March 21st, mostly cloudy skies with some sunny breaks, breezy and widely scattered rain showers, and a little wintry mix in the mountains, mainly during the afternoon, a high in the mid-40s. Tonight, rain or snow showers taper off, breezy and turning much colder, a low in the upper teens. Tomorrow, skies clearing, windy and much colder, but generally dry, a high in the mid-30s. I'm Tim Everhart, and that was the latest weather, brought to you by your friends at Patriot Federal Bank. Hometown banking with the personal difference.
The 66th anniversary celebration is going on now at Ruby & Query. Visit today to find the biggest deals in 66 years of business. Whether you're looking for furniture, mattresses, floor covering, or appliances, now is the time to shop and save. Celebrate by taking advantage of 48-month special financing so you can keep extra cash in your pocket. Financing available with approved credit. See store for details. Plus, find red hot buys up to 50% off and anniversary sale prices on the latest mattress models from Beautyrest. And with any mattress set purchase, you'll also get 2 free memory foam pillows. Now is the perfect time to shop for Beautyrest with up to 50% off closeout models. Plus, to thank you for choosing Ruby & Query, we're choosing one of you to win a vacation getaway anywhere in the continental U.S. Visit rnq.com for more information on how to enter. Save today during the anniversary celebration at Ruby & Query, located in Johnstown across Route 38 from the Holiday Inn, or at rnq.com. Always the best for less.
Have you shopped for insurance lately? How long has it been? Years? You know you can save money on insurance these days. The Kanowski Agency with locations in Amsterdam, Johnstown, and Rotterdam can help. There are many discounts available. If you need insurance or an updated policy, the Kanowski Agency can take care of all types of insurance: life, auto, home, and business. The Kanowski Agency are business specialists. Whether you need insurance for retail, service, commercial property, business, workman's compensation, commercial auto, or comprehensive liability, the Kanowski Agency represents the most competitive insurance companies. They'll find the best policy at the lowest price. For information, call the Kanowski Agency, Locust Avenue in Amsterdam at 843-1253. Find out how you can save money, update your policy, and find the service that's not available from some national 800 number. The Kanowski Agency with locations in Amsterdam, Johnstown, and Rotterdam. Call 843-1253 for the office near you.
During the Lenten season, Ludemo, 54 Bridge Street in Amsterdam, is offering many seafood and other meatless pasta entrees, portobello ravioli, spaghetti puttanesca, and linguine with fresh clams are just some of what's available at Ludemo, a true pastaria on Amsterdam's south side. Only the freshest of ingredients are used to make our menu stand out from the rest, and our homemade desserts are the talk of the town. Visit us on the web at ludemopastaria.com to see the full menu and nightly specials. That's Ludemo Pastaria, 54 Bridge Street on Amsterdam's south side. Open Wednesday through Saturday, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. 843-3660. 843-3660 for Ludemo, Amsterdam's true pastaria.
Looking for a great night out with friends? Look no further than the Lanzi family of restaurants. Lanzi's on the Lake, 1751 Route 30 in Mayfield, offers a romantic setting for dinner where you can watch the sunset over the lake. Looking for a quick bite to eat? Head to the Sport Island Pub, 108 Riverside Drive in Northville, where they always have good times, good friends, and great food. Or head over to the Lakeside Tavern, 306 Woods Hollow Road in Broadalbin, the place to meet and eat. And you can't forget Partners Pub, 21 South William Street in Johnstown, your neighborhood pub and grill. Whatever you're in the mood for, the Lanzi's family of restaurants has you covered.
1490 AM WCSS
and healthy.
Applies to Tier 1
WCSS playing tri-
We're going to go right back to the phones. We have 2 calls on both lines. Good morning. You're on WCSS, Valley Vox, and WKAJ.
Yes, I have 3 guesses.
Okay.
Let's start with Charles Colburn.
You already got it. You finally, somebody got it. Charles Colburn. He's a great actor.
Good.
Yes.
Very good. I'll be happy to receive your book.
Okay, I'll tell you what, you stop down at my store. I'm open, do you know where my store is?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been there before.
All right, you stop down there during the week, noon till 5, Tuesday through Friday, or today I'll be there until 3 after the show is over.
Today.
Okay,
no,
so
during the week.
All right,
during the week.
and I'll give you a copy of my book. So congratulations, I'm glad we finally have a winner.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Very much. You want my name?
Just give me your first name.
Rita.
Rita. Okay, Rita. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Good morning. You're in Valley Vox.
This is Mike Shire. I just want to commend you on your editorial.
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that.
I think you hit it on the head. It's about time that was put out the way it should have been. The city of Amsterdam has promoted tremendous growth in the town of Amsterdam.
Yes, and you know, I got thinking this morning, listening to another talk show, because there's a conflict right now between, I think it's Gloversville and Johnstown, or town of Gloversville, where they're going to do some annexation, that instead of selling water to the town of Amsterdam and sewer, and then, you know, charging 1.5 times, that maybe we should have annexed that corridor, and then they could have paid the regular amount of water and sewer. Of course, then they would have been paying property tax to the city of Amsterdam as well. So I don't know how that would have worked, but
that was in the works many years ago, because there was, I believe, 16 acres when Cariotti had the property up there. You might have known that or not.
Right.
But there was, I believe, part of so many acres were up on Locust Avenue in the back. And that had been discussed many years ago about using that as a tool to try to get the rest, but it didn't happen. As a matter of fact, many years ago, I had sat down as chairman of ADO, and we were trying to buy that for the city of Amsterdam. So the city of Amsterdam would have had all of that area up there for the city. And actually, our bid was higher than the people that bought it, but I guess they promised that it was going to stay, whatever I hear, through New York City, and that's why it happened what it did. But we were on that many years ago, and a few other places, but that happens to be, I guess, a dirty word.
Right.
You remember years ago with Joe Jacobs and everybody up at the golf course that we had annexed. So, you know, there are ways of doing things, cooperation, sitting down, but, 1.5 times, if you go back into the 60s, you would find out that they used to classify property. And sometimes they were paid 3.5 times, 2 times the rate according to what you were. So 1.5 times is not enormous.
No, it isn't.
The water. We have to maintain that system, and have maintained that system for years. There's a lot of things people aren't aware of, but I want to bring up something else. You were talking about the Sunshine Law.
Right.
Just so people know, and I know that it gets a bad name, but there is in the city of Amsterdam the Citizens Review Board.
Right.
And I happen to have been elected to it on a write-in, so I'm on that board. And what I'm saying, that there is a means, if you really have a problem, there is a means, if you're not getting satisfaction, that you can come to them.
Okay.
It isn't the horrible organization that they try to paint it. It was done many years ago to give the opportunity to a citizen who feels he wasn't getting adequate responses from the government. This isn't something that you just complain about potholes, and that's not what it's about.
Right.
It's if something you feel is out of line, etc., you can write a certified letter to the board, and we're supposed to look into it.
Okay,
so
and that would go to City Hall? That would be, people would address that to City Hall then? Or?
You probably could address it to the clerk, and she can see that we get it. It does say it's supposed to be addressed to, I guess, the chairman, I assume. I don't know the last time they met, because we haven't got a complaint to my knowledge, and I just got elected.
Right.
So, but I say it's an avenue.
Sure.
Not to be abused, but it's an avenue, and in many cases, it should be used. That's what it's in there for.
Right.
I know it was talked about, let's do away with it. Well, no, we shouldn't do away with it. I wish we had that in the county.
Right,
I wish we had
yes.
something. I know when I sat on the board for the last charter before this one, that I wanted to introduce an ombudsman and something, but that's as far as I could go up there with those people, because I wanted another avenue that you could address up there. I'm going to bring some freedom of information requests up there. I know they don't like it, but I could care.
Well, most politicians don't like freedom of information.
Well, the idea is I want to see about conflicts, if there is, or with this or that. But, it's nice to know what's going on in government. But I just wanted to bring that forward. I assume somebody already told you it was Charles Colburn, correct?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's easy to find.
Mike,
Congratulations to that.
Thank you.
But I'm just saying, there's avenues out there. The trouble is, the public, I think, many cases, is fed up with government. They don't trust it, and I can't blame them.
There's that, and there's also apathy.
What's the use? Well, as long as we feel that way, government is going to step on every right that you think you have.
Exactly.
You know, there's that, one other last thing to say. They keep saying, Samuel Jackson keeps saying, what's in your wallet? Well, I'll tell you what's in our wallet. It's the government. And the government should, if they want to go in our wallet, they should put something back and not take something out as they're doing. But I see the horizon. I don't like what I see. You know, I got this report in front of me right now about the taxes, the high taxes. Of course, that's effective tax rate. If you want to really look at the percentage you pay, we pay one of the highest that there is, period, here in this area. And it's not going to spur growth.
Right.
But anyway, keep up your editorials, because one thing I'll say about you, you say it the way it should be said, and you're not intimidated, and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Michael. Appreciate that.
Okay, take care.
You know, I do want to say I have nothing against Tom DeMezza. I just felt I had to say what I said today. I was on the New York Rising Committee with him. We worked together on that. But I just felt that it was he made kind of a, unnecessary stab against the city itself, not just against the mayor. But anyway, I want to get off of that because that's not what I really wanted to talk about today. And we have another call. Welcome to Valley Vox.
Yeah, good morning. You were talking about the sunshine laws and particularly how they have a negative impact when Hillary Clinton hides her emails.
Right.
Okay. Unfortunately, there's no such laws for disclosure of emails that pertain to Congress.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of laughable that the Republican Congress, who are basically up in arms about her not disclosing everything on her emails, has no such rules which pertain to them.
Well, both sides tend to be hypocritical on this issue. I don't know if you remember, but under Bush, there was a time when George Bush was president that I forget was it 5 million or 5 billion emails disappeared, and they couldn't find them. So he had his email scandal when he was president. So both the Democrats and the Republicans have had their email scandals. People in power, it doesn't matter whether they're Republicans or Democrats, except for the rare few, most of them want to hide what they're doing. They don't want you to know what they're doing, and they don't like it. They don't like people who attempt to find out what they're doing.
Yeah, but this email scandal could be working in her favor because she's in the front of the news every night, and all the Republican hopefuls for 2016 are kind of like taking a back seat.
That's true.
And nobody's really watching the bouncing ball on them.
And that's a good point. And the thing with Hillary Clinton is you either like her or hate her already. I mean, it's not like there's people riding the fence with her. So I don't...
If you can discount the fact that to the Clinton Foundation, while she was Secretary of State, many foreign countries gave contributions to her foundation, which she did not disclose. If you discount the emails, if you discount Benghazi, Whitewater, Monica Lewinsky, and Paula Jones, I guess you could make a case for liking her.
Right. Well, the funny thing is when people are partisan, they just look at other people with the blinders on. They don't see the bad side. Or if you hate somebody, if you hate her, you won't see any good in her. Or same with Obama. You'll just see the bad side if you don't like him. If you do like him, you won't see the bad side. Whereas I take the stand that Obama's done some good things, but he's also done some really bad things. I did not vote for him. I didn't get fooled by him. I've gone to the place where I'm voting for third-party candidates for the most part, even though they don't have much of a chance of winning because I can't conscientiously vote for either of the major parties most of the time.
Yeah. They had a report also on Ferguson, the Department of Justice.
Right.
Eric Holder led the investigation, and the one thing that they showed conclusively that the hands up, don't shoot was totally made up, that never occurred, never took place.
Right.
And that actually the police officer involved was just protecting himself. But I guess if you got a good motto, you might as well stick with it.
Yeah. Well, that case was iffy from day one. The case in New York City with Eric Garner was a different case. I think the case against the police in the Eric Garner case in New York City was much more clear cut. whereas
Yeah.
the one in Ferguson
Hands up,
wasn't.
The saying "hands up, don't shoot's become like the mantra of
The
far left. Even I saw them using it in University of Virginia, where the college student got, I guess, thrown to the ground by the alcohol cops down there.
Yeah. I will say that I think across the board, across the country, that the police are too many times out of line. They use too much force too many times. Again, it's probably still a small percentage of the arrests that they make where that happens, but it happens enough where it needs to stop. And even a situation in Saratoga where the guy was tasered and died, and the grand jury did not indict the police officers involved in that. But I think we need to look at the use of tasers. Tasers can be as dangerous as firearms, so there does need to be more training in the use of tasers, when to use them, how to use them, and I just think there needs to be more. That needs to be looked at better. So.
Okay, I enjoy listening to your show every week. Have a good week.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So, let's get back to Sunshine Week and people. How about people who are whistleblowers? Do you know that under President Obama, more whistleblowers have been prosecuted than under any presidents before? I've even heard that it's more than all the previous presidents put together. And without whistleblowers, we often do not know what's going on. We would have never known about what was going on in Vietnam, what went on in Vietnam without Daniel Ellsberg. So, whether you like Daniel Ellsberg or not, and I remember that whole situation when I was a kid, my parents did not like Daniel Ellsberg. They thought what he did was wrong. But over the years, I've come to study that situation more, and I realized that Daniel Ellsberg did a great thing. He exposed the terrible price we were paying in Vietnam, the foolishness of the whole thing, the inevitability of losing that war, and he fortunately was not found guilty of espionage and so on, all the things that were brought against him. But today, there's a different story. Now, on the other hand, you have General Petraeus. Now, General Petraeus is a general. He knows what top secret information means, and yet he gave it to his girlfriend. And he's getting a slap on the wrist. He's getting a misdemeanor charge. No time in jail. And what General Petraeus did was worse than what Edward Snowden did, or Bradley Manning, or Julian Assange, or Daniel Ellsberg. In fact, there's been several editorials calling for jail time for General Petraeus. Here's one from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. It says, retired U.S. Army General and former CIA Chief David H. Petraeus appears on his way to receiving light punishment for taking home and handing to his mistress, who was writing his biography, highly classified intelligence documents. The law prohibits Mr. Petraeus from carrying such documents around or passing them to someone such as Paula Broadwell, who was not cleared to see them. Beyond obeying the law lies the importance of the information contained in the documents and the lives that might be endangered if they come to light. Mr. Petraeus' action also sets a poor example for others when they see the CIA director and former senior military commander disregard the law on handling classified material, particularly as part of an extramarital affair. All this raises the question of what penalty Mr. Petraeus should receive. In reaching an agreement with the federal government to plead guilty to a misdemeanor charge of mishandling classified materials, even after he lied about it to the FBI, Mr. Petraeus is not likely to see prison time. Prosecutors want him to serve 2 years probation and to pay a $40,000 fine. Part of the argument for going easy on Mr. Petraeus is that his reputation has already been damaged by what he did and by his consequential departure from the CIA in 2012. His post-CIA income from speaking fees and lucrative employment at New York investment firm KKR suggests otherwise. A prison term is in order to make clear the gravity of his offenses and to serve as an example to others who might consider playing fast and loose with the nation's most closely held secrets. So that is an editorial from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and also The Guardian, which is a UK paper from Great Britain. And by the way, if you want a decent newspaper, I consider it a great newspaper, you can get The Guardian online. They have some great stuff in that newspaper, and sometimes you get stuff in that newspaper that about the United States that you don't get in any papers around here. Okay, let's take another call. Good morning, you're on Valley Vox.
Hi, I just wondered, I heard about the water main break on your program. I just wondered if you knew if it was fixed.
See, it wasn't on my program. Where water main break?
I mean, I heard it on the radio.
Okay, where was the water main break? Do you know?
Well, I know it involved Midline Road in Amsterdam.
Yeah,
it involved the high school. They had to move their meeting.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know if anyone else here has. If I hear anything about it, I will put it on the air in the next 7 minutes. I only have 7 minutes left, so I'll put it out there if I hear anything. If anybody knows, they can call in and let us know.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So anyway, back to General Petraeus. According to this Guardian article, the material that Petraeus released was of a much higher classification than what Edward Snowden or Bradley Manning leaked. It goes on to say, much of the material he released to his girlfriend was top secret, and some was SCI, which means sensitive compartmented information, higher than top secret. And he admitted in his plea to lying to the FBI about his leaks, knowing that doing so was a crime in itself. So now some people are calling for leniency with Edward Snowden and Bradley Manning. Of course, Bradley Manning's already in prison and he's going to serve a long time. They're already asking for leniency for these guys based on the fact that General Petraeus has been given leniency. But that's the way it's been throughout our history, is that people in lower echelons of power tend to get sacrificed. They tend to get punished in ways that people higher ups don't. And that happened with Abu Ghraib prison over there in Afghanistan, that the foot soldiers who did the bad stuff, tortured people and took pictures of them naked and did stuff like that, they were the ones punished. The people higher up, and actually that whole thing really goes all the way up to President Bush, because he created this atmosphere in which these kind of things could take place. All those people, all the way up, none of them suffered any consequences for what happened there. But a few, privates, corporals, sergeants, whatever. I don't think anyone higher than a non-com got punished for that. And that's the way things work, and that's pretty sad. But I don't know how you feel about whistleblowers. Maybe you think Edward Snowden should be locked up. Maybe you think Julian Assange should have been executed, like one Democratic congressman said, which I thought was pretty weird, because this particular congressman is against the death penalty. But he thought it would be fine if somebody assassinated Julian Assange. So I don't know how you feel about whistleblowers, but I know even on a local level, even in the county here, when people find out stuff that's wrong and they take it to the media, we need that. Without those people, you'll never know what's going on in the government. And one thing I get tired of hearing is people saying when the government is snooping too much into people's lives, like it has happened since 9/11, we've seen an increasing amount of surveillance, not just on foreigners, but on American citizens. Some people say, well, I have nothing to hide, so I don't care what the government does. I've heard that right on this station. But the problem with that is there's several things. First of all, I do have things that I don't want the government knowing about. If I write my wife a intimate letter, I don't want the government reading that. But the second thing is that when the government is increasingly surveilling people and trying to find out what's going on in people's lives, at the same time they're increasingly stonewalling as far as letting you know what's going on. And we saw that, we've seen that with Obama, we've seen that with George Bush. George Bush wouldn't let the press take photographs of people, the caskets coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan. Why? He didn't want people to get upset about the war. He wanted to keep the war going. He didn't want people to be upset. When Vietnam was happening, the media was very good about showing things on television as far as what was going on. We actually knew more in our living room. We found out more about what was going on in Vietnam than we have in any war since. And of course, the people in power realized that was bad, and so they've tried to make it so that we don't see any of those images of war. We don't see the children killed in Iraq, Afghanistan, the attacks on Libya. We do see what our enemy does, and we should. We should see, I don't really like looking at them. I don't want to see people beheaded by ISIS. I don't want to see these terrible things. They're terrible, and these people need to be punished for what they're doing. But at the same time, we need to know what we're doing in other countries. We need to know what's going on with our government, what our government is doing. And unfortunately, our government's become so complex and so complicated that we don't know what's going on. And right now, there are these secret treaties being made. There are treaties being made that are going to I believe, hurt American business even more. And they're being done in secrecy without people being able to access all the information about these treaties. Also, the military has numerous aid programs to other countries, and that includes financial aid, providing weapons and training to various regimes and various groups in other countries. And there's so many programs that military programs that are doing that it's very hard to stay on top of them and know what's going on. And so sometimes these weapons that are being shipped to other countries get into the wrong hands. Sometimes we end up training one group, like the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, and then we come back 20 years later and we're fighting the very same people that we trained at one time. So we need more government oversight, more media oversight, and we actually need more concerned citizens who find out what's going on in the world to speak up about it. Well, we only have a couple minutes. Let me just close with a brief thing that's totally different than what we've been talking about, and that is that this Manhattan think tank is pushing for more state money for New York City and less for upstate. Now, this upstate-downstate divide, which maybe we'll talk about at another time, is very troubling to people around here. And I hear a lot of people say that we need to withdraw from the state and become two states. I don't feel that way. I think that New York City contributes a lot to the state. I think we need both parts of the state, but we'll save this issue for another week because I think it's an interesting thing to talk about, and I know I've read a lot of things on Facebook about people who would really like to either leave New York or have upstate New York become a separate state. So we'll talk about that another week, and I'll bring this back with me and read more of it. So thank you for staying on the show today. This Dan Weaver, Valley Vox on WCSS 1490 AM and WKAJ out in St. Johnsville. And thank you for the people out in the St. Johnsville way who stayed with us today, and I hope that you come back and join us again another week.